Greetings, folks, and welcome to our monthly webinar. Today we are talking about career development for neurodivergent workers. If this is your first time here or visiting us, we are EvoLibri Consulting. We are located in Santa Clara, California, part of Silicon Valley, but we serve clients throughout throughout the world. We have clients out of the United States, in the United States, but primarily in California. Today we are with myself, Johnston-Tyler, and Keith Halperin. Hopefully will join us a little bit. He is an actually autistic talent and placement expert who works with us, and I'm the founder of EvoLibri Consulting. So the topics for today: what is career development and why is it important? What are the components we have in career development? How can you ascertain where you are with regards to your skill sets? How do you rate yourself? And how do you identify your strengths and weaknesses? We all have weaknesses. Some of them we can ameliorate, we can work on. Some of them we can't, and that's okay too. But we need to be able to identify them. And how do we build our allies and our credibility over years in our career? So career development isn't just about getting your first job. And it's probably not about your second or your third. What those are stops along the way as you develop your career. Each stop you learn new skills, meet new people, take on new responsibilities. So it's important to map out a course. While some of our career development will be organic, we get transferred to a new department, we are learning new skills, new technology might land in our lap. It is important for us to really address and apprise where we are in a career and where we want to go moving forward. We have to work the journey, particularly in today's market. There will be twists and turns and changes for sure, but paying attention to those changes in the world, in our company, in the technology we use, and adapting to them will help us long term. So one thing I like to talk about, particularly with my younger clients, is job hopping versus career growth. So some people believe that if I just change jobs every year or so, that's the same as growing my career, isn't it? And it really isn't, because it's not about the Benjamins, or at least not always about earning more income. It's about taking on new responsibilities, learning new skills, techniques, technology, and it's about taking on a more vital role in your own career. Yes, sometimes that may mean increasing your income, but sometimes it may mean that you take a lateral move, one without a pay increase, and maybe even one that's lower payment, simply so that you can learn new skills. So be mindful about new opportunities around you, both in your current company and outside. Anything you can do to take on new responsibilities, learn new skills, maybe volunteering, joining professional organizations, talking to your manager about an area you'd like to move into, those are all really, really good ideas. Slow and steady. Nobody gets their best job straight out of college. And if they do, I kind of feel sorry for them, because it's going to be a downhill journey from there if you get your favorite job right away. So it takes time to really build a career, slow and steady. There aren't any shortcuts. We all have to put the time and effort in. So what are the components of career development? So first off, skills, right? What you learn in college or an apprenticeship or some kind of training or educational program will not be enough, most likely, to last your entire career. You will have to continue to take classes. You will have to earn certificates. You'll have to continue to move forward in your own career purposefully. And the reason being is nothing stays the same. That is the only thing for sure, right? And everybody in any field will have to continue to learn. We cannot rest on our own laurels. Being knowledgeable about your company and your industry or field is really key as well, because you need to keep abreast for changes and policies, for example, that are on the horizon or things people are talking about. If you jumped feet first into AI and you don't understand really what it means, or crypto or anything like that, that's brand new, you might end up out of a job in a few years if you're not paying attention to what is going to happen with that tech. Similarly, if you are a programmer and you've only learned a couple of programming languages and you're not actively learning new ones, you also could find yourself either siloed or out of work. Also, people are part of a career development. Staying in touch with people, staying in touch with your community of professionals adds to your value, both in terms of learning from them, but also in terms of new leads on new jobs. This is what professional organizations were designed for. It's really key. You don't have to socialize with people. You just need to stay in touch via email, maybe showing up at a conference, maybe showing up at a local meeting. It doesn't mean you have to be a social butterfly. And lastly, gravitas. You have to take your career seriously, because if you don't, guess what? Nobody else will either. How do you package yourself? How can you describe yourself to somebody who doesn't know anything about your job? What is your elevator pitch? It's really important to think about these things, to, be able to answer the question, what do you do for a living? Or why do you want this job? Or what do you bring to this company? To be able to answer those things really with some sense of security and confidence about who you are. So what career development might look like is going to be different for most people, but almost certainly it will have these components. It will be nonlinear. Often when we're gathering skills in different ways from different jobs, part-time work, volunteer, retraining, we're doing this in little bits and bobs throughout a period of time, right? Obviously, if we've gone to college, we're going to learn a lot there. But as I said earlier, that's not the end. You're going to continue to need to learn. So how you do that is going to be in a nonlinear fashion. That's okay. Don't forget to really continue to expose yourself to new skills, new traits. And adaptive. We're often at the mercy of the market, right? What changes in the economy, tech, and business in general can and will impact what we do and how we do it. And not all of us work the same way. This means adapting to a changing environment. So, for example, the pandemic changed everything. And then after the pandemic, big corporations wanted to change everything back. Well, that's caused a huge amount of churn among employees. But for the most part, we are left with learning how to adapt, whether it's asking for accommodations or just showing up in the office every day or finding another job. We are at the mercy of the market. We have to pay attention to that. Highly personalized. No one else is you. Your journey may be different than others, and that's okay. What is crucial is to make sure that you are on a path and that you know more or less what your next goal is. If you don't know where you're headed, you're not going to get there, are you? It takes time to build a career, and your career is also going to likely be very different in your 20s than it will be in your 40s. You're going to be a different person. You're going to need different things, want different things. That's all okay too. So, where are you now? It's important to think about where you to know what your strengths and weaknesses are, to be able to find yourself on a map, so to speak. So if you think about a career, for example, in product marketing, where are you? You've graduated, let's say, from college. You've had 2 jobs. You're thinking about moving to a 3rd job. You are trying to identify the skills that you already have and the ones you're strongest in, and probably thinking about the ones you need a little bit more experience or education or training in. And also, you should be thinking about what comes next, right? You should also think about just your areas for growth as a human being. Not only the skills you know, but are there certain habits that maybe you'd like to break? Or do you think that maybe you lack in some confidence when you're presenting yourself to other people? All of those are really important. So please pay attention to all those. And then reframing and growing. When we reframe our weaknesses in areas where we have unmet needs or mismatches in our jobs, we can identify what we can and what we cannot change. So we're really talking about knowing yourself. And I believe that assessments are a good tool, sometimes even a fun tool to use to kind of try to figure out where we're at, what our strengths and weaknesses are, both technical but also interpersonal, social, executive functioning, all of those things. There are several surveys on the internet which you can find, and many of them are free. And so I would say find a couple, try a couple, see which ones seem to be giving you some good information about yourself. Bookmark them. Redo these every couple of years to see how you're improving. I think it's an important aspect of us as individuals that we are constantly sort of looking out for the ways in which we can grow in all aspects of our lives, particularly in our career. And interpretations. This is something that comes up a lot when I'm working with individuals who are unhappy in their job. So when you're doing assessments, when you're looking at, why am I so miserable in my job, or why, do I just not feel it anymore, rather than throw everything out, I want people to stop and think about, is this the right job but the wrong company? Meaning I'm in the right career, but this company is either too big, too small, too conservative, too fast-paced, too this, too that. Those are all valid, but you need to understand that. The other is it's the wrong job but the right company. Let's say, for example, you started in the right job at the right company, and you got moved to another organization, and now you're doing a completely different job that you really don't like. That happens, but it's important for you to be aware of that you like the company, you think the company is solid, and you like the people, but boy and howdy, this particular job's not for you. And then the last is wrong job, wrong company. These are scary times, because it means that not only are you in the wrong type of employment, but you really don't like the job. So for those cases, we are thinking about retraining, about starting over again, taking the skills that you already have and trying to apply them to a new career. These things may be scary to think about, but really at the end of the day, all of these are really positive efforts. So your annual review. You may or may not get an annual review as part of your employment. Less and less companies are doing it. It seems kind of interesting. But regardless of whether or not your company does it for you, you need to do it for you. And I want you to think about yourself as the driver, not the passenger in your career. Because no one, and I mean no one, is going to do this for you. The key concept to embrace here is that you take control of your destiny. Nobody else is going to do it. Back in the day when I first started working, career development was part of a manager's role and responsibility to work with individuals on. No more. It is very rare that a manager actually will talk to you about how you will rise or change in a given company. It really is up to you, and you're going to have to put in the planning and the work and the time. And I would say do it annually. Don't get lazy. It's not a great thing. Once a year, take the time to sit down and map out what your goals are for the next year or for the next several years. Are there classes you want to take? Do you want to join some professional organizations? Are there projects that you'd like to see if you can get aligned with? Make a plan, put them on your calendar, talk to your manager about what it is you hope to do in the coming year. And then year over year, if you stay at the same company in particular, I want you to go back and look at your previous goals from the previous years. Now, we know things will have changed. The best laid plans, right? Did you make any of your goals? What happened? Is it that your entire career, went, sideways? Or did the company have a downsizing and you're taking on more responsibilities? Or is it that there was no funding and the things that you wanted to do, the training, etc., you just couldn't afford on your own? You never know. There's nothing wrong with this, but I do want you to pay attention to what's happening year over year. And update your resume at least once a year. This may seem like overkill. You may believe, oh, I'm totally fine in my job right now. I'm safe. I'm never going to get fired or laid off. And while that may be true, it's also true that you are likely going to forget all the things that you've done after 1 year. We have a tendency to forget about the special projects, about the late nights that we did for a crisis management or a new launch or something like this. How much money you saved. I can't remember. Write it down. Keep your resume updated. And of course, it doesn't mean you're going to keep every last line item on your resume, but I want it to be your greatest hits. And the only way you can do that is you keep it up to date. And I got news for you. Anyone can be laid off, right? I think we've seen that in the last several years, that people who thought that they were absolutely safe in their jobs end up on the market again. The people who don't have resumes are at a disadvantage, so keep yours up to date. Building credibility. This is also really important, and although I really hate the term your brand, it is something that gets used quite regularly. And what we're talking about here is how people in the workplace see you. Not as your best buddy, not as the guy who's really great at baseball or on the softball team. I'm talking about you as an employee. This is important. And although it may say, hey, these are only, I only work with 12 people at this company. I only have one manager. Nobody else is going to know who I am. Doesn't matter if I'm a bit of a jerk or I don't do what I say I'm going to do. I can always quit. Well, let me tell you, my friend, your reputation will follow you. It's really important to pay attention to it. So what you need to be working on is providing consistently good work. In the workplace, much of what we will be judged on are our outcomes. How well have we performed? Were we on time? Was it quality? And are we consistent? Being reliable. This is absolutely critical. Say what you're going to do it. Tell people that you did it. You gotta be reliable. On top of it, low drama. Now, I'm not talking about, not having ADHD or not being autistic and having to leave a room because it was overwhelming. I'm talking about the people who stir up drama. and they like to cause chaos, and they can be just downright jerks, and they like to badmouth people and talk about them behind their back. They're the ones who go off in email screaming at everybody, and they never apologize for their behavior. No one likes to work with them, and I've got news for you, no one likes to manage them. I've had a couple real high drama people in my career, and boy, did they cause me a lot of heartache. I would have to go around and follow up after them, have stern talking tos with them, and then have them apologize to people. And oh, it was really painful. Don't be that person. And finally, be helpful, right? I'm not asking you to do everybody else's jobs. And I'm not asking you to do all the diving catches to save everything from falling apart. What I am saying is be helpful. Make sure that part of your credibility means that you help other people out, that you're approachable, that if somebody needs something, you can be relied on generally to provide that information or to tell them how to do it. Find ways to be that good egg in the office that people can rely on when things get tough. These people are your allies, come thick and thin. Another thing to be mindful of is to seek out your people, right? One way, certainly, in large organizations is to find out if there's neurodivergency groups or disability or accessibility groups. These can be great ways for companies to help people align with each other. There may be training, there may be events, there may be, hey, you know what I tried when I was asking for accommodations. All of that is good stuff. And it also helps to raise visibility of you as an important person in the organization. Outside of your company, you can also look into professional organizations. Almost every profession, really, truly, including dog walkers, how do I know that? Because I looked it up, have online groups where professionals can ask questions, answer other people's questions, find new jobs, learn what's happening in policy, etc., and so forth in their career. Find yours and join, and pay attention again to what's going on. This is a large part of developing our career, is to know other people outside of our organization doing similar things so that we can align with them. And let's not forget our coworkers either. You have a lot of potential allies and a lot of potential knowledge that can be shared within your organization. Now, you may be one of these people, like my son, who truly believes that he knows everything about everything and doesn't need to talk to other people. But I'll tell you, what he doesn't know is about the history of the organization or how things are done or sort of the hidden agendas, all of those things, which can be very important parts of our jobs. So even if you think you're the most technically savvy person in your organization, that's not to say that other people in your org don't have equally important information if you get to know them. So a story here. Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I worked as a senior manager, and I had 22 direct reports when I left that company. Those employees of mine continued to ask me for recommendations 10 years after I left the business. I'm not talking about just leaving that company. I was in a completely line of work, but they would still ask for my letter of rec. The reason being is we did an amazing project together that was absolutely cutting edge, and they knew that they could count on me based on our relationship to give them an excellent recommendation based on the work we had done previously. That's what credibility brings. So in closing, again, really important to recognize your career development is a DIY thing. No one is going to do it but you. Do it yourself. No one owns your career but you. promotions, raises, new jobs, all of that. You need to earn it. They do not just get handed to you on a platter. And if they do, be suspicious. And plan. If you don't know where you want to go, that's okay. Start paying attention. But it is important that if you don't have any plans ever, you're not going to get ahead. And you're certainly probably not going to get to where you think you might want to go. You really need to think about short-term, long-term career goals. Make a plan on how to get there. And not only plan, but adapt. Because as I said earlier, things are going to change. I guarantee it. That is simply the way of the world. Try to pay attention to what's coming down the pike so that you're not caught off guard. It's not impossible to do. You read the news, you belong to professional organizations, you're staying in touch with people, you should be able to figure out what's coming down the pike before it hits you right between the eyes. Don't burn any bridges. Like I was saying earlier, you might think, hey, this is a small company, nobody's going to ever know me, I can go out and get another job. I have news for you. It's a very small world out there, and your bad reputation will haunt you. Make amends if you need to. Be nice to people. Show that you can change, but don't ever burn bridges unnecessarily. And most of all, enjoy the ride. Everybody's career unfolds differently. We never know for sure where we're going to end up. We do know that if we have a map and we have some ideas of how we want to get from point A to point B, we're going to be better off in the long term. So have fun, but pay attention to where you're headed. And a couple of resources here. These are all those lovely little surveys that you can try. There's a lot more, though, on the internet. So spend a little time. Look for ones that really appeal to you and keep taking them. See how you're doing over time. And then next month, we're going to talk about performance reviews, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Nobody likes them. Managers hate writing them. The employees hate receiving them. And yet, some companies still do them. So let's talk about how we can manage that a little bit more effectively. And that, my friends, is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us.